Welcome to Rosie the Reviewer. We're your hosts. I'm Sam.
And I'm Maartje.
And we like World War II media and we want to talk about it.
For a video version of this interview, please go to our YouTube channel. You can find it on youtube.com/@RosieTheReviewer. Enjoy!
Welcome back to Rosie the Reviewer. This week we're doing a very special episode about SAS Rogue Heroes because season 2 just came out. It's available on BBC iPlayer and MGM Plus, depending on where you live. With us, we have returning guest George, who is our SAS Rogue Heroes correspondent, owner of an enviable SAS Rogue Heroes book library, and insight provider on all of our SAS Rogue Heroes episodes. So welcome, George. And with us also, we are lucky enough to have Corin Silva, who portrays Jim Almonds in SAS Rogue Heroes, and notably for our audience, Lieutenant Colonel John Bennett in Masters of the Air. So, Corin, first and most crucially, do you think you have resting World War II face?
I've been talking about that myself with my family. It seems to be my niche. I don't know what it is. Stoicism and mustaches, probably. I also played a Nazi in something too, so I've got the trifecta. Oh, yes.
Perfect. So we'll head into some questions from George up first, and then we'll get into some questions from Mart after that.
Yeah, so we've talked a lot on Rosie, I think, about the balancing of like historical accuracy and storytelling. And one of the slight deviations that SAS Rogue Heroes takes is that we get, thankfully, Jim Almonds back during the Italian campaign a lot earlier than he did come back in real life. So I wondered if you could just talk about like where Jim is, what he's doing in season 2, and how he meets him.
Well, let me say, no one was more pleased about that than me, because I was wondering, like, am I even gonna be in it? Because obviously it's just up to Stephen Knight how he wants to take it. And I was just, saying to my friends, there's a very good chance that I'm referenced in this next season and I'm just gonna be in jail. So yeah, glad to be back. And I think they bent the truth a bit and gave Jim a role that he would probably have slotted well into, which is keeping some new recruits in line with a stern but calm hand. So now when you find me, I've just broken out of prison, which did happen. Of course, I think he broke out 3 times, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
But when he rejoined the SAS, it was back in the UK in real life. And so on this one, I'm getting 2 SAS in shape off the coast of in Sicily. So yeah.
That's fantastic to have you back. I'm glad you mentioned Jim was in prison, because just to sort of give a bit of context, he was captured on Benghazi raid, I believe, and then as you said, didn't come back until after they were in the UK, and that is referenced in the show. Did you take any of that history sort of with you with your portrayal of Jim in the season, sort of, because we didn't really dwell on it, but was that something you kept in the back of your mind?
Yeah, it was definitely something, because he references in my introduction in season 2, it's referenced that I broke out. And yeah, I did keep that in mind when I first read it, that, well, I don't know, because obviously he didn't spend a year and a bit or whatever in the show. He only spent, I guess, a few months. But I wanted to bring in the things that Jim actually went through, that I talked about in his book. Especially he was always religious, of course, but I think leaning on his faith is what got him through a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That got him through that time in prison. That's why he kept his cool so much, I think. And I mean, what a guy to keep his head and still come back. Almost the same guy, I'm sure. But yeah, I wanted to bring that in, and through Stephen's writing as well. That gave me the chance to do that. Yeah, they really let into it. And then as well in real life, I mean, it didn't come up in season 2, but maybe one day. But he designed a boat. He designed a sail ship in his head, the Kamasi, and that was during this time. And that's always just blown me away. That I think it was whilst in solitary confinement, he designed it's like a 30, 40-foot sailboat in his head and scratched it on the walls with stone. And then 15 years later or so, my dates are way messed up. I'm sorry about this. I know what happened. I just don't know exactly when. But yeah, then he built it with his friends in North Africa and sailed it all the way home to Lincoln, which is just amazing.
Yeah,
absolutely amazing.
Oh, that's terrible too. But I was just reading that book on the plane back about the story of him building the boat finally and then sailing it back. And it was an incredible voyage. And I don't think he had any experience in either building or navigating, and it's incredible.
Some guy, just some guy.
There's some guy.
Yeah.
So in season 1, I think one of the things that I really love about SAS Rogue Heroes is it's the relationships that are built between the characters, and I think that's what gives it such a charm and a life for the series. And I think in season 1 we saw a lot of that with Jacob Ivan, who plays Pat Riley, and
Yeah.
then in season 2 we see a lot more with Jack O'Connell, Paddy Mayne. How do you go about building those relationships? And is there a difference between sort of the ones that are more in the background of the narrative, like Jim Almonds and Pat Riley, and the ones that are more in the foreground, like between Paddy and Jim this series?
I don't know if there's a difference per se. Well, there's not a difference so much as actors, because, you know, if I do say so myself, we were perfectly cast. But the lads, all of the lads, get on like a house on fire. Like, I absolutely love them. They're great. And I should hope they love me too. And so getting along as, like, you know, like obviously the boys did in real life is not a challenge. It's not so much a challenge. But then I think obviously the way that it's been written in, that in season 2, I'm kind of like a emotional support animal for for Paddy by the end, because, and I think again, because Jim wasn't really there, I think he did play this role anyway throughout his career, especially with these guys. But like, I think that's exactly where he would be if we were at that point, because for Paddy to get given control of the SAS must have been definitely something. You know, it definitely would have been a change in atmosphere. And yeah, to have Jim as this steady hand makes complete sense. Yeah, it's nice to bend into that. It's also nice to just have the different chemistry with different people, and it comes naturally because of the actors that were cast in the roles and the great writing from Stephen Knight. So yeah.
I love that. So you just touched on it a little bit there. There's a fantastic line, gosh, which episode is later in the series, I think episode 5-ish, where Jim says, "I am under a great weight." And I think this entire series we talk about trauma, we look at the impact of the war on people, but Jim's isn't really delved into that much as outside of this one moment. And I know, again, in real life, there was a moment that struck me in the book, the first book, Gentleman Jim, where Jim was out shopping with his wife and his son, and suddenly he didn't recognize them. It's really stayed with me. So there is a big well of trauma there. Can you talk around maybe, what am I trying to say? What does that mean to you? Sort of like, how did you carry that into the series, if you did?
That's it. I mean, that story stuck with me too, about him not recognizing his family. It's heartbreaking, and you know, it's PTSD, it's shell shock, but obviously presenting itself in a different way, a way that you might not read about so much as well. But yeah, knowing that that's a story that happened, and then there's still so many accounts from the guys, and you know, obviously it's through their eye, so who knows what they considered normal, you know. But and including his family, you know, Amanda Almonds, his granddaughter, who I've talked to a fair bit, and he, by all accounts, still really kept it together. You know what I mean? And so that's what I wanted to hold on to, and whether he was keeping it inside, and obviously I'm definitely playing the horror, you know, but I try to always internalize it, because yeah, as much as it might be, and sometimes I'm, you know, as an actor, sometimes I'm like, maybe I wanna, you know, I kind of wanna be all dramatic and chew the scenery a bit, so to speak, but it's not my place to do so when I'm portraying someone who, you know, I think stiff upper lip is the wrong term, because he did it with such an ease, but he really had himself together, and that's what, you know, accounts from Sterling and Reg, and that BBC documentary from the 70s was incredible. But yeah, I know that when I came in there, when I was early on trying to figure out like how to play him and how to keep myself always level, I created this idea of like a metaphorical pendulum inside. It's just some acting nonsense I'm talking about here, but imagine a swinging pendulum inside of myself, and that Jim, as much as it moved and as much turmoil as he was under, he would never let it touch the sides. He would never swing him out. And so that's what I try to remember sometimes when I'm thinking about him. They would keep it together, and it's for the sake of himself and for the sake of the boys.
That's really beautiful. And it's clearly worked. I remember I did watch the entire series and just it was very emotional. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's actually quite a good segue into my question, because you've answered this a little bit already, Corin, but you play Jim as a much gentler, kind of sweeter, soft-spoken, less soldiery person, I guess, than most of the other guys on the crew, or on the cast, I should say. And I wonder well, you kind of answered it already, but what information did you take into that performance? Is that really all just what you knew about actual Jim, or is that also something that was a conscious choice you made?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know much about Jim until, well, I didn't know anything about him until I got the first audition. And my first audition was actually for Reg for Sea Kings, and I did 3 auditions. I think I did like 2 full auditions with loads of scenes, all doing Reg stuff. And then I guess I thought that they must have thought he's too soft for this, and so they tried me with Jim, and that's the one we got, which I'm very glad for, especially because Theo does such a belting job as Reg. But yeah, I think I clicked more, you know, because I sometimes do play a hard man type, but I really clicked. I just clicked with Jim. I understood him. I think I understood him more, and this links to my song actually. But I understood him more when I understood his love of animals, as I do, and all sane people do. But yeah, understanding his love for animals, and you know that translates to people too, of course. But he looked after a donkey in, well, where would they have been? I don't know, in the North Africa campaign. He just like was adopting animals as he went when he was down there with Pat Riley. I forget exactly where it would have been. Tobruk. Yes, it was Tobruk that he called the Moke. And there was actually a scene that was in the original audition that I did where I go to see Jock Lewis. And there's a goat there that, no, that's it. Jock comes to see me, telling us to go, let's go get some parachutes. And I'm sitting there writing in my diary with a little goat nearby. And I'm like feeding him, and we're just sharing and just chilling. And then I don't look up for my thing, and Jock Lewis mentioned something about shooting him. And I'm like, just, you know what I mean? Still calmly just telling my superior officer to just shut up and what game are you trying to play? Do you know what I mean? But yeah, we lost it. I don't know if we couldn't afford the goat or the goat was too busy or what. But we lost that scene, but it was a very beautiful scene for me. And yeah, I think, sorry, I got really long-winded answers, haven't I? But
That's okay.
I think knowing what Jim thought about animals was a big one. Yeah.
They should have given you the donkey in season 2 then.
And yeah, yeah, I did that. I was, well, yeah. That's what it was called, the Moke. That's what he called the donkey, the Moke. Yeah, he looked after it for a long time. Those were great donkeys. They were very stubborn donkeys. You can ask Theo about that. Jesus, they did not obey. Stubborn as a mule, as they say.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So on a bit of a different level now, we heard a rumor, and I don't know if it's true or not, so please correct me if it's not, but that some of the Almonds family was on set when you were filming. Is that true?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. His great grandsons, Caleb and Jonah, I believe. Amanda, his granddaughter, messaged me and asked whether they could be involved in some way. And I said, Jesus, yeah, I'll do everything I can do. And then I spoke to the producer, Stephen Smallwood, and we arranged it and found out when they were free. And they're like, yeah, they're like 18 and 19, I think they are. And we got them on set and we got them all dressed up. They came for a fitting. I got a great photo with them, which I'll put up. But yeah.
Were they there for shooting as well then? Were they in a scene or?
Yeah. They're in the scene on the ship heading to Sicily at the start when Jack's saying about the gliders and that it's a death trap, basically. You can see them. So I'll try and find the scene and I'll point them out to you. But yeah,
Please do.
Jim Almonds' great grandsons.
What was it like then, having them on set with you and having to act while they were there?
Oh, that was great. They're such lovely lads, real sweet. And I think they were chuffed. They loved being on there and they had a great old time. I think you'd
So
have to
no
ask them.
pressure then, no extra added pressure for you when they were there.
No, they were lovely. You know, trying to show them around a film set because obviously they've not done this before. So, but they're interested in acting and film. So we went round and got a little breakfast and then got a little lunch And then they got into wardrobe, and I think they had a great time. And we were on the ship as well. We were down in Kent. I forget the name of the ship, but we were on. Yeah, God, names elude me. But anyway, yeah, we were on a real retired warship when we were filming that scene as well. So they were down there in the dock. It was great.
That's a tough scene to film, though, even for, like, it's a dark scene, right?
Yeah, it's pretty dark. It's pretty dark.
Again, on that note, is there any scene that you filmed that you are either most proud of or that was most challenging to film? Can you think of anything?
I don't know. It's. I find it very, very difficult to watch myself. I have fun at the time, so I think that's all that matters. But I really can't. I'm like this. I can't even. I just only see. I only see it as bad. I only see my performance as pretty bad.
No.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, but I still don't believe you. But there was one thing that was kind of funny, where well, you know the bit where there's like where we're patching in the radio and we're on top of the hill. Well, that was a kind of hard scene to film, but not for anything like emotional or anything like that. It's just that I had food poisoning because I'd taken a sandwich from set on the Friday and I put it in the fridge. And then on Monday, that was filmed on a Monday morning, and on Sunday night, I ate that sandwich, and then I found out. Well, I kind of knew, but I really found out that the fridge wasn't even turned on. So I get to work, I get to set, and I'm shaking and shivering, and I'm absolutely sick as a dog. But I've got that nice scene to do, which I've always liked. And anyway, I'm lying there, I'm in makeup and costume, and everyone else has already gone, and I'm trying to get as much time in the dark as possible. And then the second AD, Anne, she comes up and she's like, Corin, you gotta go. We gotta go. We either gotta go now or. And I'm like, oh, what? Like, what's the other option? And she's like, well, we'll give you lines to somebody else. And I was like, no. That's the actor in me. And I just rolled out of bed. Well, not bed. I just rolled off the couch and hit the floor hard. Got in the car and I barely spoke to anyone all day. Just as soon as I finished the take, I had to go and sit in the shade of the truck and just shake in the dark with my eyes closed. And then, we'd get ready for a new take and I'd walk on set. I don't think I said a word except for my dialogue for the whole day. Just nursing a 2-liter bottle of Coke.
That's commitment.
Yeah, I know. It's probably just ego more than anything. I was like, no, I must do my dialogue. But it's a great scene, so I wanted to do it.
Thankfully, they kept it in then.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Imagine.
Yeah. It is in there, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I laughed at you saying that you can't watch yourself because we can't even watch. Like, I don't even like watching these like recordings back.
No.
Like, Mark does the editing, and I'm like, I'll listen to it, but I can't look at my own face.
I don't think I've even listened to the other episodes that I'm on.
Well, they're great. You sound smart. You're perfect, so you're good.
It's fine. I will suffer for all of you. It's fine. Is there any scene that was cut from either season 1 or 2 that you wish they kept in?
Oh.
That you know of?
No, I don't. I think most scenes. I think everything that we filmed. Is in.
Nice.
Except maybe some random, because we did a lot of just driving cars through the desert and shooting guns and stuff. So there's probably some of that didn't make it because we definitely had enough. But yeah, no, I don't think there is a one except for the one that was written with the goat. I would have, but we didn't film that, so I'll let him off. I'm gonna let him off with that one.
All right.
I don't think on the big fight at the Ritz on the last episode. I think we did some moves on that one, and I put a big shoulder of one of the Americans and put him through a table. And I don't remember if I saw it, but it was a big shot. We had a lot of fun doing that, a lot of fun. So I could yeah, maybe that.
And what are your hopes for season 3? What do you hope is going to be in there?
I hope that we continue to semi-accurately portray the lives of these lads and have a bloody good time doing it. That's all. It sounds like if it's if we do it and we do what we think I'm gonna do, or we all think we're gonna do, then it's gonna be great. and a nice progression to, you know.
I'd like to see you in France for sure. I mean, we saw you all jump out of the plane, so we better get a season 3.
Yeah, D-Day is one hell of a cliffhanger.
I know, it's a big one, though, isn't it? Yeah, as cliffhangers go, D-Day. Yeah.
Yeah. So, another serious question for you, Corin. What has the impact been of this role on you?
I don't know. I don't think it's, I've played some roles in the past, especially this one play that I have in mind that really messed my head up, like psychological damage that was inflicted. But in terms of, well, actually, I don't know why I immediately went to negative impact. There's not been any negative impact. It's all been great. I think just how has it impacted me? I learned more about World War II, and I've made loads of new mates, and yeah, found some ways to spend some summers. So it's been good. It's been great, and the privilege of being able to play someone like Jim Almonds is not wasted on me. It's been incredible.
I think we can tell that you care a lot about it. I can tell from your Instagram for sure that you care about it quite a lot. So,
Yeah,
fun.
yeah. So I've had loads of things to post, and then we're only allowed to post them now. So I just like making it rain with behind the scenes business.
Well, the people love it, so
Yeah, it's gone down well. I think it's nice because when it first came out, obviously people didn't know what it was, and now I think there's a lot of returning people. So it's like we bridged the gap last time, and now it's like people understand what it is. So yeah, so it's been nice. People have been messaging me and saying they love it, and that makes me feel all warm inside. So
Nice. Before I hand you off to Sam, I have one extra question that I just thought of.
okay.
Because the show also gets a bunch of criticism that we don't necessarily all agree with. But how do you deal with that? Because I'm sure you'll get it too, a little bit.
Oh no, I've never been criticised, so I don't know. Couldn't tell you. No, I don't know. I think actors are quite good. I mean, if you don't take criticism / rejection well as an actor, then you're not going to be one for very long, or you're just actually just great all the time. But it's never the case, is it? But it's water off a duck's back these days. I think if someone went really mean personally, then they might get to me because we are also very soft. But no, that's it just slides right off. Yeah. Or it's
Sure.
interesting, it's fun to find out why people don't like it. Yeah. Not that anyone doesn't like it, but yeah.
no, it's just people who are being historical purists. They're like, well, it's not a documentary, so I'm not happy about it. And you're like, well, okay.
Literally says it in the first frame.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that's the fun of it. Plus, there's certain moments that they tone down, and people say it's crazy and like, oh, this didn't happen and this didn't happen. There's certain moments that Stephen Knight had to make a little bit more believable, so people didn't go, "This is bullshit." It's like, yeah. So you can't win. You can't win.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Masters of the Air. Our audience obviously loves World War II media, so we'd be remiss not to ask about it. Obviously, they're both about World War II, but vastly different for a lot of reasons, including on scale. Can you just talk to us a little bit about what it was like to work on Masters?
Oh yeah, it was great. Like, damn, they just built a whole airbase, and the attention to detail is, I feel like, I mean, they have all the money in the world, of course. So like, and it shows. For example, one example that shows the level of intricacy and dedication, especially from the art department, but everyone involved. But I was walking through the airbase to the scene where there's a scene where I burst through the doors, and I tell the lads that we're flying to Berlin again, and break the news to them. But as I was walking up to that scene, there's a moment that we didn't even use, and I'm walking through a corridor. I think we used just before it, but I'm walking through a corridor, like I think I walked through one and then another, and to the side of me is a room full of people working on typewriters, and everything is accurate. There's 15 supporting artists. There's loads of drawers, loads of bits of paper, and everyone's tapping away and everyone's moving. And I don't think they even used this, right? But already just a still frame of that would have cost however much. But out of interest, I was like, how much have they nailed this? And when I wasn't filming, I went into the room and I flicked through some of the papers, just a stack, and they were all typewriter font with different. They were all different. None of it was a plain piece of paper. It was all. Each of the bits of paper was dated, like aged, and they all had full script and orders or code or something, transpondence between air bases or what have you. And each one of them was different from the last, and I was blown away. I was like, oh my god, like they really nailed it. So like if someone accidentally knocked over a stack of paper and it was filmed, then it would have been usable because it wasn't just plain, it didn't have like a leaflet on it or something. But yeah, it was incredible. And my director, Dee Reeves, was so cool, like really kept it cool at all times. And I really liked her. And we got to do two really nice scenes. Yeah, all the lads on that were great too. I only knew them for about 3 days, but they were cool guys. Very cool.
Nice. Yeah, I think if I recall correctly from the Harry Crosby memoir, John Bennett was sort of like a temporary CEO that they had who kind of whipped them into shape because they were all behaving very like flyboy and devil may care. And he was kind of the one who was like, if we follow these rules, more of you will live. He's definitely the guy who's trying to, keep everyone in hand. So not unlike Jim Almonds in that way.
Yeah, look, yeah, I thought that when I got it. But no, he was definitely a stickler. People might have had to stick up his ass at one point until he proved himself. It's true what he said as well. He walked in there and he said, we're going on a very, not a suicide mission, but close enough. And then he said, and I will be flight commander. I will and he was the goddamn front of the formation. Do you know what I mean? And so it's like they've had these guys, an array of guys. I don't know the full history, but they didn't all fly with them. Do you know what I mean? A lot of them stayed cozy in England on the ground. And Lieutenant Colonel John Bennett bloody flew and risked his life just with all the rest of them, which is very, very impressive, very heroic. So yeah, they were scared. I think they were intimidated by him at first, and they bloody loved him by the end. So yeah, good bloke.
Hell yeah. Well, do you have any, so we're starting to get toward the end now. Do you have any soundtrack songs that you would nominate for the soundtrack of SAS Rogue Heroes if you could?
Yeah, I do. And I wrote it down because there's two different versions. So the song called That's My Desire is one that I always wanted in the show. For me, it worked well when I saw it and I said this to the director at the time, said this to Tom Shanky, and he was like, yeah, cool, yeah. I was like, he's very busy, very busy. But That's My Desire, originally by Sammy Kaye, which is a great version, but I like the Martha Tilton version, which I think is beautiful. But yeah, when Sterling's waiting with a flower on his table for Eve on the last part of the season 1, but she never comes, and then he gets the news that she went down in the desert. And yeah, if you listen to that song, That's My Desire, it really says it all. The lyrics even just basically say what's happening. And then there's a song called Wanderers of the Wasteland, which is I think originally from 1939, but there's not a version recorded then. I don't think I couldn't find one, but by Johnny Bond, and that's the song that Jim used to hum to his donkey and his goat. So it talks about it in there. He's talking about a lop-eared mule, and so he used to sing that song to the Moke, which is the name of the donkey, sitting there in a foxhole in Tobruk with Pat Riley and the boys. So yeah, it's very sweet, and I used to sing it. I think I tried to get it in the show somewhere. Someone was like, Corin, you can't be singing that. I was like, no, he did. He used to sing it. And they're like, oh, okay, cool. So yeah, Wanderers of the Wastelands.
I love there's something about knowing a little teeny tiny personal detail like that about somebody who's been gone for so long, where it's just like, yeah, this is just the song that they sang when they were just, singing something.
Yeah. They had a lot of tunes to get them through the times, I suppose. But yeah, that was one of them. It's a beautiful song, actually. Jim liked westerns and the Old West. So yeah, I think there's probably a few more. I wish I knew. Some questions I always want to ask, but I don't know who to ask. Sometimes it's family, but I've asked them loads already.
Nice. I'm sure they love talking about it. I'm sure it's just like they're absolute overjoyed to talk about it with somebody.
Yeah, well, yeah, I hope so. They've sent very, very sweet messages saying that I did a good job. So that's all I need to hear.
That's lovely. Yeah. And would you have any World War II books or movies or TV shows that you think people absolutely should check out if they haven't checked them out already?
Well, my dad just gave me, funnily enough, just when you sent me the saying that you do have any books, and he just got out from the library, The Second World War by Churchill.
Oh,
Yeah, and so I didn't know this at all, but he made six volumes in 1949. He wrote 6 volumes of the Second World War, and it sounds like him as well, it's quite amazing. So yeah, so I've not got into it properly yet. I've read a few bits that my dad liked. Like, for example, it says at the start here, moral of the work: in war, resolution; in defeat, defiance; in victory, magnanimity; in peace, goodwill. And that's just like the opening. It's so interesting. And then theme of the volume, because this is the finest hour. So this is after the first one's called The Gathering Storm. And it says, how the British people held the fort alone, till those who hitherto had been half blind were half ready. And I think that's referring to your people. This is great. Those who were hitherto had been half blind were half ready. Yeah, so referring to the Americans joining us.
I mean, I'm Canadian. Can I shoot you?
No, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I thought when you said about Masters, I thought you meant Euro. No, okay. Well, I'm talking about he's talking about the US. You know,
Yeah.
he was very sassy.
Well, Sam, we don't know for how long you're still going to be Canadian anyway, so.
Yeah, maybe we'll be the 51st state soon. That's what.
Jeez. Yeah. Let's just stay back in the past when things were simpler.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I'm gonna have a peruse of this. That's my next.
I love that, and I love that you got it from your dad. It's so nice to share a hobby.
He loves World War II. He knows endless facts, and he got me into it. To be fair, telling me, I mean, it sounds horrible, but it's just it is so bloody interesting. I mean, there were such awful things happened, but the tales of adventure. I mean, obviously that's what we're trying to show with Rogue Heroes. But yeah, he really got me into it when I was a kid, so I've always been interested.
It's a very dad hobby for sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Tell me about Stalingrad. I was like, whoa. And then only in later life, I'm like, oh my God. Like, that's hardcore.
Yeah. We always want to say, I always want to say I'm like a World War II fan, but I'm like, I'm not a fan. I just,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't love that it happened.
I know exactly what you mean. Me too. Yeah.
Well, do you guys have any other questions? Anything we didn't touch on that you want to get to?
I think we've chatted a lot.
I think we got all of them. Yeah.
I
Well,
said that a lot.
Thank you so much, Corin. You've been great. Is there anything that you want to plug? Any projects that are coming up that you want to tell people about?
No, I've got a couple, but I can't tell you about them yet. So,
Great. So
no.
people have to follow you on your socials and.
Yeah, do that. I'm going to be just posting all the random bits I filmed and took pictures of whilst we were filming. So that's just going to be what I'm doing for now. And then secretly filming other things.
Amazing. Awesome.
Yeah. Pleasure. It was great.
Well, thank you so much for listening to another episode of Rosie the Reviewer. You can follow us wherever you get your podcasts and give us 5 stars. You can go to our website at www.rosiethereviewer.com or follow us on Instagram at Rosie the Reviewer Pod. And once again, we super appreciate George being on, and we want to give you a quick hint that we're going to be doing some more SAS episodes coming up.
Beautiful.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon.